Hey folks, Jonathan here. I got a few minutes between tows. I figured I would try to do something here on this light. We didn't pull it apart, and I did figure out for sure that this is going to be the brake light, this is going to be the running light, and of course because it also does the license plate light, and this is going to be the backup light, which is purple. And I'm not sure what this one was there for, this what plastic. It could have been glass originally maybe, and somebody changed it, but it would be up above and be shining with the running light. So the bad thing is, well, first I was worried about this plug because it's not on the end of the wire. So I started searching through all the little bags and stuff, and I actually found it, the plug for it. So we can work with that. I think we can get the screws out and rewire this plug. It's going to be cleaned up real well. I actually found the tags for the heater. I don't know if you'll be able to see them. Perfection, I think it's Perfection heater. Turn the other one over. Yeah, it's a GB1. But they was in the bag also, along with a bunch of 6-volt lights and a few screws and stuff like that, just odds and ends stuff. And I think that's actually a cap for, I'm not sure what. It's a grease cap. You would put grease in this, and as you tighten it, it pushes it in. Maybe it's for the water pump, an extra. But anyway, what we've got, the issue that we're going to run into is all this rust in here. These bulbs just go in, well, a single pole bulb. I'm not sure what number these are. I know 1156 would be a single 12 volt. These are 6 volt. Anyway, it goes in and it just touches here and it grounds through the base, which is pretty rusty. So I'm going to try something, and I've never done a review on here before, but I'm going to do a review. I had a company that actually sent me this, and I've seen some reviews on it, and I think it's some pretty good stuff. And it's Metal Rescue concentrate. Mix this to a gallon of water, and supposedly from the pictures that I've seen and the information that they actually sent with it, you know, it's really mild, so it don't hurt anything. It don't even hurt paint. I've seen them take license plates and put in and just get the rust off. And so we are going to try it on this light. Now there's some black paint left on it. It's not a big deal if it took it off, but I don't think it's going to take it off. I'm going to leave these wires on here. They're actually in pretty good shape. They're cloth covered, but there's really nowhere for them to ground that out, you know, even if they weren't cloth covered. But we'll see what it does to the cloth on here too. And you know, if it eats them up, I can change the wires out. But I want to get the rust out of this thing and hopefully get it to where it will ground. Now these, of course, are supposed to be shiny, and I don't know if they probably won't polish up. I may end up having to take them out later and maybe nickel plate them or something to get it to reflect the light right. But we've got to get a taillight on it, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get a container, plastic container. We're going to get this concentrate mixed up, and we're going to put it in there, and then we'll actually see how good this stuff really does. And I've been waiting really for a little while since I'd gotten this stuff. I've been waiting for a chance to use it on something that, you know, I didn't want to just use it on a piece of rusty metal and it come out and it'd be fine. I wanted to use it on something that had some delicate parts. You know, this is plastic. Well, I say plastic, it's probably Bakelite. And then these wires, you know, that's cloth. This bottom is some kind of insulation material because the posts are on it and it separates them out. So it's some kind of a Bakelite or just something that wouldn't carry voltage anyway. So you know, it's pretty critical. So you know, you definitely don't want it grounding out. So we're going to actually give this stuff a try and see if it does what they say it'll do. Let me get it in the mixture and I'll show you. Okay, I know everybody uses these nice, pretty Tupperware pans and all that, but last thing I'm going to do is go in there and steal one from my wife. She's a little meaner than I am. Got it in a gallon jug here, so we didn't have to do much for measurements either for the liquid. But turning a little bit rusty already, the water, so you know, maybe it's doing something. But we'll keep it in there and keep an eye on it. I didn't see anything else I needed to throw in there right now, not to de-rust, so we'll let it go as it is. I saved all the 6-volt bulbs out. Here's my screws to hold it on. There's that piece. Somebody has actually, probably the guy that was working on this car, has made this piece to hold the light bulbs in. Now when this goes on, it actually pushes against them rings in there and around the outside, so it actually holds everything in good. But I guess that's a pretty good way of doing it. So when you put the screws in it, they're good and firm and tight. So that's just enough to get it on there, I guess. But these are glass, you know, all the bulbs and stuff, so, or the lenses. So anyway, we'll see how this stuff works out. Hopefully it'll work out good. And at least this is something I can do and still be out towing. This stuff's supposed to be good for a year. We'll actually put it in another jug when we're done and save it. And also they sent this dry coat and rust preventative, so I can spray this on it, on the inside of it after it's done, and that way it'll keep it from rusting anymore inside, and then hopefully our bulbs will ground out and everything. And okay folks, here's the finished product. As you can see, it done a really good job. It actually did shine up the reflectors a little bit, so I think I can maybe polish them up and I won't have to even mess with them at all. Did not hurt the insulation, that cloth insulation, which, you know, wasn't a big issue, but I just wanted to see what it would do. Cleaned up the copper somewhat. As you can see, the contacts. You know, the good part about this is, you know, this thing is it's all crimped together. If I'd have taken it apart to get to the back side of this, because the bulb goes in, spins, and then pushes forward, if I would have done that to be able to get a good ground, then, you know, it would have been a big pain to take apart. Everything here is riveted. The only thing that's screwed on is the screws going to the where the wires run to, where the power is. And so anyway, now I'm not going to do a review without being honest, and it did get some of the paint, but I was expecting that, because that paint, I don't know if it's old lacquer paint or what, but it was already bubbled, as you can see if you see close. But so it was already bubbled to start with, so it just loosened it up, which is not an issue actually on this. It's probably a good thing, because I need to repaint it, but it done exactly what I wanted it to do. That way we can get a good ground on our bulbs now, and I'm going to spray it with that dry coat and a little bit on it anyway, so it don't, you know, flash rust back. But yeah, when you're working with something that, you know, is critical, that you don't want to cause any damage to, I mean, that's the stuff to use for sure. And like I said, if not, I'd have been cutting rivets and taking this thing completely apart, so it saved us a lot of time and trouble. Okay folks, we've got the tail light on it. All the lights are on there, or bulbs are in it, and they're working. I've got to get it wired up first, but the wires coming back to the back are not right, so we're going to keep working on them. And like I said, brake, tail, and parking light. Oh, parking tail sign. Brake, tail light, backup light. Alright, we've got this welded up, and a lot of the grinding done. Haven't done any body work to it whatsoever, anything like that. Probably going to go ahead and I'm trying to get this one straightened out where it needs to be. I don't quite have it yet where it needs to be. I'm going to bend it a little bit more, drill this hole. I'm going to move my valve stem hole from up here to down here, just because this is supposed to lean forward. And the way it is, you've got to lean the top end first with the valve stem, and then lay the bottom in, and it'll hit the paint. So what we're going to do is make it where the bottom's got to go in first, and that'll lean the bottom in, and then up and lay the rim on where it needs to be. And I'll probably clean this rim up that's on there, and maybe just put some primer on it. I did order my tires. Tires are on the way, and let's see what I get when I get there. But one thing I do want to say, and I know I do a lot of babbling, but I'm going to try to slack off on it a little bit. But one thing I do want to say is I got Coker tires, bought them from Summit instead of Coker, and it's kind of crazy, but Summit offered them with free shipping, and I actually went to Coker, and it didn't say anything about shipping, so I put it in a shopping cart and checked, and I thought maybe, well, we can maybe they're cheap, you know, their shipping's free also. I'd prefer to buy them from the manufacturer. And turns out $52 shipping. Well, I actually left them in that cart, and of course went and bought them. Well, I didn't buy them through Summit, I just left them in the cart, and figured I'd give a little time to think about it. And then believe it or not, because I had it in the cart and they had my information, they emailed me, and just to I guess update me on, hey, you've got stuff in your cart, you know, do you need help finishing your purchase or whatever. So I emailed them back and just told them, I said, hey, look, you know, I wanted to buy them from you. I preferred to buy them from you. You know, I like what Coker's all about. I mean, you know, with the history of it and stuff. I said, but you know, it's $52 cheaper to buy it through Summit because I don't have to pay shipping. And I was hoping that they would just maybe cut the shipping, and you know, maybe that's too much to ask for. But anyway, they did email me back, and so basically what they said was, you know, if you buy them through us, you can also buy the road hazard warranty, which I wasn't planning on buying a road hazard warranty, and I would have had to spend more money for that. I think it's probably 10 bucks a tire or something like that. And then also, if you buy them from us, you won't have a third party to, you know, if something goes wrong. And I thought about it, and I said, well, you know, I've dealt with Summit for years. I've got friends that's dealt with Summit for years, and you know, chances are, you know, we're not going to have issues there. So I went on and got them through Summit. So $52 is $52, man. I mean, you know, same exact tire from the same company, and you know, one in Ohio and one in Tennessee. The Tennessee store is way closer than the Ohio store, which is Summit, and the Tennessee, of course, the Chattanooga is Coker, and Coker's a lot closer. But you know, like I said, $52 shipping, I wasn't going to do it, so I didn't do it, and that's just the way it is. But anyway, one thing about this, it looks like the length is longer on this one than it is on this one, and I was wanting to bring it up and actually make them even here, but you know, now it's making me wonder whether I should, or just set it back a little farther, bolt it back a little farther. I don't like the looks of it like that. I wish they would have made them even. I don't know. We're going to get it as straight as we can get it, and hopefully we can get it bolted on there. So, got some measuring to do, but I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and then we'll go from there. Okay, folks, I've got the holes drilled. I've got some locks on here. They're not the right locks. These are Jackson. I can't. Maybe Jackson with an X. Anyway, these are Chevrolet locks that I actually had. See if I can get the bolt back in. My bolts are not long enough, and I'm getting ready to go get some more bolts. But when I tightened this thing down here, it pulled it a little bit. I'm not quite straight with that one, but I think what I'm going to do is take it off and grind the inside bottom down a little bit to try to get it right. And I mean, we're going to get it as good as we can get it for sure. And let me see, my valve stem's going to end up being down here, but I got to make sure I put it, you know, we've got a rim lock that locks this rim together right here, and then the valve stem was over here. So we're going to make sure that that rim lock's not going to hit one of our bolts, and you know, we can get our stem in somewhere where it won't be in the way of them bolts coming through. So anyway, we'll get it all straightened out here. Actually, I think when I bolt it on, it would look okay like it is, but we're getting it. It's getting closer as we go. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and drill this hole, pull this back off, do a little more work to it, and then go ahead and get some primer on it, run and pick up some bolts. So we'll see how it goes here. We're getting it though, it's just going slow. Okay folks, ring's pretty much done. I'm going to end up stripping it back down and, you know, repainting it and all when I'm finished, but I didn't like that green on it, and I'm tired of seeing primer gray, so I just spray can some black on it real quick. Turned out really well. I think it's going to look good when it's finished up. And the rim, I may end up having to use this rim. I'll weld it up some, whatever I've got to do to fix it. It's a little thin down on this side. I wish I had ordered 5 tires, but I didn't. I only ordered 4. I just couldn't spend the money right now. Well, I didn't want to, for sure, but I mean, you can't cut yourself short on money, that's for sure. So I figured I'd just wait on them, and then hopefully I can mount one of these old tires up on the back, and I mean, just leave it there for looks anyway, so it's not empty. But anyway, I like it. You know, it turned out pretty good. I got everything bent where it needed to be and tightened down. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I'm going to touch on this gas tank one more time. Okay, that sending unit. Of course, I explained the last time, you know, the sending units of that particular error, if this was a negative ground car, that would basically vary the negative to the gauge, and that's how you get a reading. I finally found out how the original gauge in this car worked, and that's the only reason I'm bringing this subject back up. Okay, there was nothing electrical in the tank. Everything was above, and basically, my understanding, it had a float on it with a rod that came up, and it had 2 sets of coils. Okay, and this is how it worked. When there was 0 voltage, your gauge read halfway. When the gauge dropped down, when your tank dropped down below half on fuel, it would be a negative system, and then once it got above half, it would be a positive system, or vice versa, one way or the other. But the point is there was 2 sets of coils in it. Instead of having just one rheostat, there was some kind of coils that I know for a fact that there was 2 of, and that is the reason that there was a positive and negative. It's sort of reverse polarity going to the gauge, and that's how the gauge worked. And that's my understanding. So we'll probably never find the right one, but we'll live with it. Not a big deal. So anyway, another thing, I actually got to speak with the grandson of the man that actually started on this car, and he's actually watched some of the videos, and I did not realize that his grandfather is still alive and lives in Arizona, and took this car to California and kept it for years. And I think it was actually came from New Mexico or in that area, but I'd have to go back and read his email he sent me. But he bought it in the early 70s, and it sit on the same wooden blocks for 40-50 years, and you know, he just worked on it slowly and just didn't get it finished. And so that's what we're going to do, is get it finished. And if he's in good enough health, I think his grandson's going to fly him out here once I get some paint on it and get the interior in it, and let him see it and ride it. But anyway, you know, it took a long time to do this just because I haven't been able to work on it much. This rain we've been having here has just made it really busy for me. So I've been running all I can, and I've got these locks on there temporary. I did go ahead and go with 5 instead of 3. I thought 3 might look kind of cheesy, so I just went ahead and went with 5 of them. I had 3 locks here, and then I had some more on another old wheel out back, so Chevrolet. So these are Jackson, and Jackson with a X, and we will we'll get the right ones. There's somebody had mentioned in the comments, or maybe even messaged me, that he had found some, and I actually found the same ones up in Canada, 5 of them that are the correct ones for this car, the Hayes. So we may get them, but I'll quit rambling on. But this is what we've gotten done, and we're gonna jump on that wiring and get this light working. So more next time. Bye. And as for the rust remover, I highly recommend it. good product, worked great. And the dry coat, as you can see, it's been raining and stuff for the last 2 days, and it's not rusting back. So I think I'll use it more in the future. All right, bye.